very important to have more than just one ministry. We extract minerals from the ground, we take them to the surface, we take them to the ground, and that's the end of our role. I'm being crude about it. Minister Barbara transport them to where they are needed. And when they are needed somewhere else, she takes them to where the value will be added. Minister Baxter adds that value and trade with them. Because it's not just a defined issue, it's called critical minerals. It's for value and it's for trade and it's for business. Minister Majodina washed them to be clean. If you don't wash them, they may not be useful. And the Minister of Electricity, represented by the DM there, need to give us electricity at affordable and competitive price. They will work together and reduce the price of electricity to a level that is a factor that adds value to the critical mineral, for a critical mineral to be competitive. But is it losing the money or is it investment in a different category of economic activity? That's the question we must be asking. So if we have all those factors being what they should be, then our critical minerals are going to be a source of value. I am a strange socialist now because I know that this big thing of people bringing business to me and saying we'll create so many jobs is not ingenious. It's disingenuous again. You are in business to make money. In the place of making money, you employ people. And that's why if you need 30 people, you won't employ 100 people. You're not an EPWP. You are a business. You want to make money. In the process to create value for everybody else, including workers, who convert that investment into wealth. And critical minerals are not different. All that is necessary for the continent, by the way, is that let's develop a common value chain as a continent. Instead of competing to the bottom with each other, let's compete to add value that will be appreciated by everybody else. We've listed 21 in South Africa of these minerals and we call them critical. It's gold, it's PGMs, it's chrome, it's coal, it's manganese, it's vanadium, it's lithium, all of them are listed as critical minerals. Like the uranium, which is not used yet enough, but it's going to be used in the future because nuclear is going to be the source of electricity. It's going to be critical once that is realized. But that is the list. They must add value to life. Thank you.
So the first is about repositioning our trade agreements with various trading partners, particularly in the developed countries. You would know that historically the arrangements were put to port type approach. People would come in, mine the minerals, take them to the ports and extract them essentially out of the country. And we've now repositioned the way in which we enter into trade agreements. We, for example, in November signed an agreement with the EU under the auspices of what's the Clean Trade and Investment Partnership that says, essentially, not only do you need access to the minerals, industrialization would happen at source, that they would create fiscal instruments to be able to support European industries to invest in South Africa to ensure that industrialization happens in South Africa. Now that's a significant shift from the way in which these agreements have historically been entered into. We recently signed on Friday with China a similar type of agreement that says how to enable and facilitate industrialization and investment in the South African context of Chinese companies that come and invest and are able to beneficiate here. And how do we deal with some of the issues that have led to a lot of our minerals not getting value addition locally, but being exported into countries such as China. So it's about reviewing the way in which we enter into partnerships with other countries so that we can practically ensure that the investments are linked to industrialization in South Africa. And I'm not just saying South Africa, in fact, South Africa and sister countries, because there are supply chains and value chains that we're integrating with the countries on the continent, particularly in the sub-region. Second is about providing financial support to affected industries. So we just signed an accession agreement with Afrexim Bank, and they created a package in excess of 100 billion rands, which facilities include a program for South Africa. And we said we should enter into a programmatic arrangement so that the way in which the monies are invested enable us to achieve certain objectives. And part of those objectives include industrialization linked to our critical minerals.
Look, water is a commodity that is very expensive. All of you seated here, you are my clients. You started by going to visit any service that is water related. You couldn't be here had you not started to use water. Now, water is a socio-economic catalyst which remains a pillar, and for us is to ensure that that water is accessible, that water is shared equitably. We issue water licenses. Just here outside at the ground floor, we are registered online with those who want to apply for licenses. It used to take 3 years for one to have water use license, but now we've turned things around through Operation Vulindlela. We issue licenses within 90 days. But it is important that as we do all those things, whoever is mining must know that there's a community around that area, and we do penalize those who abstract more than what their license is all about. We are regulators, but we want to ensure that there is access of water. Once we are our top 30 countries that are water scarce, but we do have water. That is why we are involved in a 3-phase approach in Lesotho to get more water, so that we can be able to distribute water accordingly to build our economy, but also to sustain what the mining sector is doing. The mining sector is getting 1.8 billion liters per day. That is what we are allocating, but we want that to also have a positive impact in developing the communities where these mines are. The issue of acid mine drainage is what is the challenge to us as well as to the communities around mines. And I was saying to Minister Mantashe, we must work together to ensure that when they search, the mining sector must also take responsibility of using water sparingly, but not to pollute our water. Because once that water is polluted, we'll be unable to distribute water equally to South Africans. And now, as Department of Water and Sanitation, we are calling all mining sector to say, come forward, apply, and if you don't apply, you continue operating, or if you leave that mining site, you must inform us and rehabilitate that mining mine, because if you don't rehabilitate, you open up for illegal miners who are also using our water. You pay for the water that you get and use water sparingly. This country has enough water to supply. Thank you.
Investors invest in minerals to make money. They want to get returns. If we reconcile with that and begin to coexist with value addition and ability to get a return out of our investment, Then we say to investors, these minerals are available here. We are leading with platinum group metals, we are leading with manganese, we are leading with chromium, we are leading with, we are in the top 5 with vanadium and gold, and you can go on with the list. But what is more important to me is that for those minerals to make money, there must be cost cutting of one kind or another. That cost cutting will be, each geoscience will find the quality and quantity of minerals in the exploration work they're doing. And the question of factors of production being competitive and affordable. One such is electricity, water. All those elements must be affordable and must be within reach. If they're expensive, you may have the deposits and not make the best out of them because your factors of production are very expensive compared to the rest of the competing countries. So to me, that combination of competences is quite important for us to compete in critical minerals. It should not be a South African issue. It should be a continental issue. If we discover copper in the Northern Cape, it will foolhardy of us to drive it without talking to Zambia and not talking to the DRC, what major copper producers. All that will do is to flood the market and push the prices down and push copper out of competition. We have a responsibility to the continent, we have a responsibility to the country. And so the factor of production must contribute to make our production competitive compared to the rest of the world. If we don't do that, we're going to be out of the market. That's why we're struggling with chromium, for example. China is just pushing us out of the market by pushing the price of chromium to the ground. And once the price of chromium is in the ground, we run out of the market because China has flooded the market with our own chrome and they've flooded it and they've pushed the price out of competition and we can't survive. Minister Baxter has given us a concept that I've fallen in love with Baxter called the whole government approach. Everybody must contribute to making our minerals comparable to the rest. If we're not, we compete as departments working silos. We are going to destroy the value of our own products. But if we work together, we can only improve the value of our products. And to me, there's nothing better than that. That is the best we can do. Thank you.
First, let me say that we have developed an industrial policy that is premised on leveraging essentially the bulk of our assets as a country. And this strategy is layered on 3 pillars. And those pillars are decarbonization, digitization, and diversification. And when you think about it, and when we're talking about decarbonization, we're talking about the reality that, in fact, the minerals of the future are found in South Africa and amongst our neighbors. And the opportunity for us to leverage those assets as part of the transition is important in the way in which we're going to invest in industrial effort and strategy as a country. Similarly, when we're talking about rare earth metals, part of those assets that we have as a country in the digital economy are critical to the inputs to the digital economy. And our ability to leverage not just attracting investors in the digital economy, but our ability to ensure that we're able to link this to our industrial effort is equally crucial. So e-mobility, mobility strategies have to be premised on it. Our transition to new energy vehicles has to acknowledge our minerals base, the incentive structure to support new energy vehicles has to acknowledge that, in fact, there's a new energy vehicle tax structure that's coming into place at the end of March that begins to acknowledge the reality that we're in the middle of this transition. We need to be able to be the producers of new energy vehicles, not just consumers of new energy vehicles. Thanks.